So you seem to like my last short JRPGs video a lot, and you left tons of great recommendations. So I figured I might as well do another one, and if you keep leaving great recommendations, I might just have to turn this into a regular series. So if you love JRPGs and videos like this one, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. One of the most highly recommended games from the previous video was Child of Light. Now, Child of Light was developed by Ubisoft on their UbiArt engine, and my goodness, this game is absolutely stunning. It has a gorgeous watercolor art style and some stunning animation. It's like a painting come to life. In the game, you play as Aurora, a princess who wakes up lost in the land of Lumeria. Now, she's joined by a firefly companion named Igniculus, who guides her on her journey to return home. Now, the developers describe this game as a playable poem, and that's in more ways than one. Interestingly enough, the dialogue is delivered in rhymes through a ballad form. Now, to be honest, this maybe gets a little old over time, but I appreciate the effort put in and the attention to detail. Now, as I'm sure you've seen already, this is a side-scrolling RPG, so you'll be flying around thanks to Aurora's flying powers, opening passageways with Igniculus's abilities, and you can even open chests that Aurora can't reach. All of these elements put together really adds to the overall fairy tale vibe that Child of Light is going for. Now, the combat plays out in a turn-based fashion with an ATB bar on the bottom showing who will attack when. Now, the combat is pretty fun with a wide range of abilities, but what makes this game even more active is what you can do with Igniculus during battles. Now, if you hover over enemies, Igniculus can interrupt enemies, and if you hover them over your own allies, you can actually heal them. Now, you can probably finish Child of Light in a dozen or so hours, and it's such a unique, one-of-a-kind game that is an absolute must-play. Now, it's hard to imagine that there was a time when Square Enix, or rather Squaresoft, was making Mario RPGs. At the time, this was pretty mind-blowing, and honestly, the game still holds up really well today. A number of staples in modern Mario RPGs started with this original SNES classic. The main one being the timed button presses during attacks. Now, you'll pick an attack, and if you press a button at just the right time, you can boost that attack. This can even be seen in the latest entry, Paper Mario: The Origami King. Now, the twist at the time was that you actually team up with Bowser, Mario's longtime rival, as Bowser's army has abandoned him and he's forced to join up with Mario to defeat a common enemy. One other interesting fact is that this is actually the first 3D Mario game, not Mario 64. Square also did an amazing job incorporating other Mario elements into the game like platforming, question blocks, and so much more. One other aspect about this game is that it's praised for its humor. It's just lighthearted and fun. One great moment is when Mario walks in on a Toad playing pretend with Mario action figures. It's just great. Now, if you enjoy Mario RPGs and you haven't played this yet, definitely find a way to check it out. Now, one of my favorite games on this list is Costume Quest. The fall is my favorite time of the year, and to have a charming turn-based RPG set around Halloween is just awesome. Now, at the beginning, you'll choose which sibling to play as, and whichever one you don't choose gets kidnapped by monsters. From here, you'll have to rescue them with the help of your neighborhood friends and your powerful costumes. Oh yeah, your costumes aren't just for looks. When you get into battles, you'll transform into powerful versions of whatever costume you're wearing. This could be anything from a robot, a ninja, a knight, or even a unicorn. Now, what's cool about the turn-based battles is that they have action button props to keep you engaged. Think of something like Legend of Dragoon. Honestly, it can get a little old after a little while, but it is still nice to have something to keep you engaged. Now, one thing I like is that Costume Quest encourages you to explore the world to find new costumes, which will have new abilities, as well as finding candy, which is the in-game currency. Costume Quest has 3 areas: the neighborhood, the mall, and the countryside, which are all weirdly moody and atmospheric. And honestly, I think its art style really matches the Halloween motif super well. If you love RPGs and Halloween, this game is just for you. Now, if you've already beat the game, or if you enjoy it, then there is a sequel waiting for you. Costume Quest 2 is more of the same, but with elements of time travel, and there's an evil dentist trying to rule the neighborhood. Admittedly, the sequel doesn't reinvent the wheel. The game loop is fairly the same. However, there are new tweaks to combat, such as a rock, paper, scissors-like element system, defensive button props, and a card system. Now, I'd be lying if I said there weren't some issues, because there are. Battles can get a little tedious near the end, and there's this annoying drinking fountain mechanic to refill your life. Essentially, after every battle, if you don't have your life refilled, you have to go find a fountain and refill your life. It gets kind of tedious. Now, if you can look past some of these aspects, Costume Quest 2 oozes with charm and humor that more than makes up for it. Now, on the surface, Yokai Watch may look like a Pokemon clone, but there is so much more to it than that. The yokai are troublesome spirits that cause issues in the world that could be anything from a car accident to your parents fighting. Oftentimes, you have to battle these yokai to resolve these problems, and this might sound similar to some of the issues you might resolve in Ni no Kuni, and funnily enough, both are developed by Level 5. Much like most of Level 5 games, one of the highlights is its charm. Yokai Watch is one of the better looking 3DS games, if I may say so. It's super colorful, lighthearted, and just super fun to just exist in the world. Now the combat system is pretty unique and can take some time to get used to. Essentially, you assemble your team of yokai that you collect through the story or through gacha capsules, and you'll put them in this circle where you can have 6 at a time. Now you can only have 3 active at a time, and the yokai just battle on their own. You're not giving them command prompts. Now you almost act like a coach on the sidelines, as all the yokai will be battling on their own, and so you have to rotate them at just the right times using the bottom screen, and every once in a while there will be mini games to pop up to keep things active, like tapping or drawing shapes. There are other gameplay aspects like bug collecting, but these are a little too frequent and kind of become tedious. And much like Costume Quest that I just talked about, the charm more than makes up for it. Now if you liked Ni no Kuni for its charming world, lighthearted story, and great art design, then you definitely want to give Yokai Watch a try. Now one game on here that I don't think very many people have heard of or played is Dragon Valor. Imagine if Ys was on PS1, and that's basically what Dragon Valor is. You know, as I was looking up this game, I was kind of shocked to hear about how many bad reviews it got, because I was pleasantly surprised and I had a lot of fun with it. Now the game is relatively short and there are some pretty simple levels, but the hack and slash combat is really fun. Now the goal of each chapter is to defeat a dragon, and the story continues into the next generation, changing characters. And what's neat is that depending on which choices you make in each chapter, that will depend on who you play in the next generation. Now to be honest, this game isn't easily playable as there's no download version available. However, you can either emulate it, or if you want to buy a hard disk copy, it goes for around $50 to $60. However, it's totally worth a playthrough if you can track down a copy. Now one of the more somber JRPGs you might ever play is I Am Setsuna. Its premise is that you're tasked with bringing Setsuna to the last lands to serve as a human sacrifice to the demons. It certainly evokes feelings of sadness as you're trying to deal with Setsuna's fate all through your journey. You're accompanied by a number of Setsuna's friends who are trying to deal with the situation in their own ways. Somberness aside, the game is actually quite beautiful. The world exists in a perpetual winter and it looks incredible. I love how the different colors pop through the trees and all the different towns look so inviting. And what's neat is that the soundtrack is only piano, which I think really pairs well with the overall look and the overall theme of the game. Now the combat is reminiscent of something you might find in Chrono Trigger. You'll see the enemies on field and you can just engage in the battles right then and there. There is also an aspect of ATB turn-based combat. And what's cool is you can equip these things called techs to different characters, essentially serving the same role as materia. So it's really fun to customize your different characters just the way you want. Now this game was aimed at classic JRPG fans, and while it doesn't always nail what it's going for, the journey is totally worth going on if you can find it for a good price. Now if you're looking for even more short JRPGs to play, definitely check out the last episode. There's 7 great games for you to check out that won't take you any longer than 20 hours. And if you like this kind of content, definitely leave a like on the video and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.